Stefan Brandt. Every week, my panel and I find the one thread behind the news. Every so often, a technology stops being a clever idea and turns into something you have to pour concrete for. The railroads did it, electric power did it, the internet did it. And this week, right out in the open, on the balance sheets, artificial intelligence did it too. The signal wasn't a smarter model or a slick new demo. It was a bill. Google, one of the richest companies in the history of money, ran out of computing power and went out and rented more. From a rocket company. For about $920 million. A month. Hold on to that number because it quietly rewrites the whole question. For 3 years, the question about AI was whose model is the smartest. This week, it became a much harder one. Who can even afford to build the thing at all? And then the question hiding behind that, the one that actually decides the next 10 years, whoever pays for it, what do they get to own? That's the whole show. The market got scared, the giants started passing the hat. And this week, the government itself walked in and asked for a seat at the table. In a single week, AI stopped being a story about technology and became a story about money, power, and politics. I'm Stefan Brandt. This is The Throughline. Markets, tech, and geopolitics, and the one thread tying them together. My 3 analysts are AI personas. I direct and edit them, and none of this is investment advice. Mara, start with the money. Why did good news scare the market this week?
It got scared by good news, which is the strangest part. Friday's U.S. jobs report was strong. The economy added about 172,000 jobs in May, when people expected closer to 85. Double. Normally, the economy is healthy is a party.
So walk me through why that's actually a problem.
Because a strong economy means the Federal Reserve has no reason to cut interest rates. And high interest rates do 2 things. They make borrowing money expensive, and they make far-off future profits worth less today. Now, what kind of company is all about far-off future profits?
AI companies.
Every single one, so they got hit the hardest. The chip stocks had their worst day in years. Nvidia dropped about 6% and slipped under a $5 trillion valuation. Micron and AMD fell hard too. All told, very roughly $1 trillion of value came off the chip names in a single day.
I want to jump in, though, because scary is the wrong word. Nothing about the actual demand changed. Google is paying nearly $1 billion a month for borrowed computers. That's not a company that's worried. That's a company that can't get enough. The build-out is real. The cheap money just went away.
That's the honest tension. The demand is real. The funding plan quietly assumed rates would fall, and they didn't. Oh, and one more tell. Bitcoin fell at the same time. When money gets expensive, people get cautious, and the risky stuff, crypto, speculative tech, gets sold first. Bitcoin slid to around its weakest level since late last year.
So here's the heart of it. Money got expensive, and when money gets expensive, people stop betting on things that only pay off years from now. And AI is the ultimate pays-off-later bet. Theo, let's talk about that bill. How big are we actually talking?
Bigger than any company can casually cover. Think of it this way. To do AI, you need giant warehouses full of chips and enormous amounts of electricity and hundreds of billions of dollars. That's not a software budget. That's a build a power plant budget.
Give me the examples, simply.
3 of them. 1. Google. Its own data centers can't keep up with demand for its Gemini product, so it agreed, this showed up in a SpaceX filing, to rent computing power tied to Elon Musk's xAI for about $920 million a month. My factory's too small, so I rent the neighbor's factory. 2. Alphabet, Google's parent, said it plans to raise about $85 billion, partly to help pay for all this. And 3. Meta is reportedly thinking about raising a big pile of money too, for the same reason.
And when the company that lands rockets becomes your landlord, you know the rent is not cheap.
Right. A few years ago, these companies would shrug and say, "We'll pay for AI out of our cash." That sentence doesn't work anymore. Now, even the giants are doing stock offerings, taking outside investors, renting other people's machines. The demand is real. Paying for it is the whole problem.
And that's the part that should make you sit up. When the richest companies on Earth start passing the hat, you have to ask who fills it and what they want back.
That question, who fills the hat and what do they want, is exactly where the government walked in this week. And this is the genuinely new part. For years, the state's role in tech was simple: make the rules, referee the game. This week it started trying to own a piece of the team.
Own a piece how?
Reports this week describe the administration in talks about taking an equity stake, an ownership slice, in OpenAI, the same way it recently took positions in some other strategic companies. And Senator Bernie Sanders floated an even bigger idea, that the largest AI firms hand the public a major ownership share outright. People are calling this the state joining the cap table. The cap table being the list of who owns what, and the government wants a seat at that table, where the ownership and the profits get decided.
And why does Washington suddenly care so much?
Because AI stopped being just a product. It's now tied to national security, to military technology, to the economy, to who wins the next decade against China. When something gets that important, no government wants to watch from the cheap seats.
So the referee now wants to own the team, and probably the luxury box too.
We had a saying in the service, whoever pays for the bridge decides who crosses it. If the public is going to help fund hundreds of billions in AI, the public, through the government, is going to want ownership, profit, and a say. That's not a tech story anymore. That's politics.
So the same machine that needs $1 trillion to build is now a national asset.
They're the same thing now. Energy, chips, and capital. One system, with the state sitting inside all three.
So here's the whole thing. And if you carry just one idea out of this, carry this one. For years, the big question about AI was, can it actually work? Everybody already assumes the answer is yes. So the question quietly changed to a harder one. Who's going to pay for it? And right behind that, what do they get in return? Because if you hand someone hundreds of billions of dollars, they don't want a thank you card. They want ownership, profit, influence, and power. That's the thread tying all three of today's stories together. The market got scared because money got expensive. The companies need outside cash because AI got too big to self-fund. And the government is stepping in because whoever pays for AI helps decide the future. AI stopped being mainly a technology problem. It's becoming a money, power, and politics problem. So watch who's writing the checks, because they're the ones who'll own what comes next. My panel is synthetic. AI analysts I direct and edit. None of this is financial advice. And if this helped you make sense of the week, subscribe. It's the best way to catch the through line every single week. I'm Stefan Brandt. Find the through line. See you next week.